Welcome to the Reticle Up podcast, where I, 3-Gun Kenzie, will be interviewing competitive shooters, hunters, fishermen, archers, entrepreneurs, and outdoorsmen. Come learn with me as I interview people from all walks of life, in different disciplines, all across the world, from novices to professionals of all ages. No matter what, everyone has something they can teach you, so come join me on the journey. What's up, guys? I am here with RapidFireRachel, so we have another in-person podcast. So excited. Rachel, thanks for having me.
Yeah, I'm glad you're here.
Me too. So if you don't know, we don't live very far apart, and we decided to do some filming out of nowhere, sort of.
I mean, it was kind of last minute. It wasn't even really, but I'm glad we did it.
Yeah.
Collabs are always a lot more fun, so.
Way fun. Especially, we've talked about this a lot, and we'll dive in more about like collaborating with other female content creators too, because there's not many of us.
No, it like, in the years that I've been in the industry, I've watched it grow for seasons and then rapidly decline. And there's a few of us that have been around for quite a while.
Yeah.
And I don't know why we're not doing more stuff together, so.
Yeah, it's fun. Awesome. So let's dive in. I want to back all the way up before we talk about what we were doing this whole week, and dive into how you got started. I know a little bit about your background with your family, FFL, and that you're kind of born into this world-ish.
I think that's probably the best way to describe it. So I have quite literally grew up at the range.
Mm-hmm.
It's been a part of my family's life since I was born, really. I mean, my brother was shooting before I was born. My dad started taking my sister and I to the range when I was 3. I shot my first gun. We'd be out there for SAS matches, all sorts of stuff. So grew up in the cowboy culture. And then it kind of expanded from there. Once you start in one sport, you get exposed to other sports. Yes. So USPSA came into it. Glock started hosting matches, their GSSF matches around us. So we'd bounce around to those. And I didn't start like competing or dabbling into any of that until I was in high school. Mm-hmm. And even then it was more just for fun, but something that we always did as a family.
Heck yeah. So, okay, for your, like, I guess whole childhood to being exposed to guns, do you remember like learning about firearms, or like, I'm just curious if you actually remember the first time you like held a gun and were like, okay, this is a tool that's very powerful. Like, do you remember that? Or was it just
So my dad never just flat out explained it to us like that. He started us on, I didn't know it was Eddie Eagle at the time, but the Eddie Eagle stuff. So he had the stop, don't touch, leave the area, tell an adult rule going for not only guns, but literally anything that was dangerous. So if we saw a snake in the yard, stop, don't touch, leave the area, tell dad we saw a snake in the yard. Although I don't follow that one yet. Now I definitely like to mess around with reptiles, but it was kind of like that all the time around here. So my dad is in the industry. He has his FFL. He has his own business. He has before I was born. And guns were in and out of our house and around. So it wasn't necessarily uncommon for us to see one out. And we just knew that is dad's. It's a tool. Do not touch it. Let him know if we see it. And we never had any issues growing up. We also didn't really talk about it because it was normal life for us. There was no mystery behind the gun, or I played this in a video game and I can show my friends this is cool. It was just like, those are dad's. We don't touch them. Yeah, that was similar to mine. I don't remember like learning how dangerous they were, like that they were mysterious. Like, I don't remember that actually. I just remember like there's a gun in a drawer. There's a gun on the wall. There's like, it's just part of like that every day. So can you talk to like kind of what it's like, or have you ever thought about what it would be like to not grow up in that? Because I feel like we're very fortunate, right? You either kind of are born into it, it's normal, or like now you got to learn how to do that as an adult. It's probably very intimidating. I don't know if you've ever thought about that other perspective of things. No, and I think that's cool when I see other content creators that I know their story is starting from the adult side of it. I'm like, you are going to be so much more relatable to so many people, because not everybody grew up with guns like I did. Not everybody had the accessibility to them like I did. Still do. And like, it's just very different. Like, it's just very different.
Yeah.
So I think it's cool. And I think that's why there are so many different people out there with voices and different stories to be able to share and relate to people.
100%. So, okay, where did the name, I kind of know a little bit, RapidFireRachel come from?
So my dad named me twice.
Okay.
Once Rachel, and then we started going to Knob Creek when I was 18, 19.
What is
I think
Knob Creek to? Some people don't know about it still.
Oh, I don't know how people don't know about this.
I did.
Wake up, pay attention. It's canceled now, which is the most terrible and sad thing I could ever say. But Knob Creek was the largest machine gun shoot, as far as I know, in the world. Unless you're talking caliber, then we're talking Big Sandy. But that's a whole different story. So Knob Creek was huge. There would be a gigantic firing line with over 600 military weapons of everything, 50 cals, miniguns. They'd bring out tanks sometimes to do demonstrations, cannons, literally everything that you can think of probably has either been there or is on the line when you go. So there's a main firing line that's just machine gun shoot every hour on the hour for 15 to 30 or 45 minutes. And then there's a little bit of quiet time. There's also a pole barn where you can shop things that you've never seen on a table before
cool.
and can barely imagine. It was an experience all the way around, whether you were getting to pull a trigger on something or just shopping in the pole barn. They also had rentals down the hill. So there's machine gun rentals. You could shoot cars with them. It was pretty cool.
Yeah.
And then there was other side matches like the jungle walk or subgun matches. So the first time I went, I tried the jungle walk and I somehow ended up winning the jungle walk.
I heard your dad talking about that. He's like, you're just really good at this whole thing of finding things in the woods. He
trained me.
That's pretty impressive, yeah.
I can definitely say my dad is the reason I'm good at finding things in the woods, because when we were kids, we didn't have all these electronics and stuff like kids have today. It was look out the window. If you find an animal and you spot it in time for dad to see it, you get a quarter. Oh. So I had incentive to stare out the window and look for things.
That's cool.
Yeah.
Cool.
Still to this day, if I see a control tower and I see it first, I get a quarter. And if I see, he worked on control towers, so there's a little passion there. And if I find one that he designed, I get $1.
Oh, okay.
Whole $1.
That's pretty cool. Sorry.
Yeah,
I know we're in circles because I still want to talk about how you got named. But
I know
you're talking about Knob Creek too. Yeah.
No, so Knob Creek, basically the experience of Knob Creek for me, walking in, we got there right after they had already started up. So all of a sudden your heart starts beating to the sound of machine gun fire. And it's just like an overwhelmingly cool experience. Mm-hmm. And that is where RapidFireRachel was born. And full auto has been a part of my life for a very long time. But after that, it was like, these are the people I want to be around and I want to learn from. Yeah. And I'm still there. So...
Awesome. How old were you then? Well, do you remember?
It was right after high school is when I went with him the first time. So, I think it was 18.
Okay. Did you have your social media then and change your username, or do you remember when did you come onto the internet and make this switch to basically okay, I'm gonna start posting, I'm gonna make this gun related and I'm gonna be a brand?
So that is a whole different. That's a whole different realm.
I want to know where that came.
Different genre of life for me. So I was kind of against social media. I still am not a person that really loves social media. I think that is great for a lot of reasons, and I have relationships like this one because of social media. It's also opened a lot of doors, but Instagram, thought it was the stupidest thing I've ever heard of. Why would I need that when I had Facebook at the time? Because that's how I was thinking, Twitter's words, Instagram's pictures, Facebook's everything.
Yep.
But I was working at Hooters to pay for college, and I wanted to be part of Hooters calendar, and they look at social media. So I was like, okay, I guess I'm making an Instagram account. And I started posting just things that we do in everyday life, which is dogs, guns, and family. That's pretty much what it was. So I posted a picture. We do Mother's Day at the range. It's a time-honored family tradition in my household.
I love your videos from this year, by the way.
Yes. Thank you. And I posted that, and overnight my phone died from notifications. And I was like, that's weird. What? So started going through it. And I'm like, people are interested in this for some reason. Me thinking, because I didn't really know any better. I didn't really talk with anybody about what we did, but I just thought, we shoot guns. That's kind of normal.
Yeah.
That's normal. Apparently it's not normal in every household. So I was like, this is really interesting. And I already love this. I've already told my dad I want to go to Knob Creek twice a year, every year, which we did for 10 years. So it just started kind of growing from there. And then also, I don't know what else to say about that, but it started growing from there.
Did you, and was it still Rachel B333?
Yeah, that's how it started. Okay. I've never changed the actual username, but it does just say RapidFireRachel under there, and then RapidFireRachel in every other platform.
On everything else.
Yeah.
So, okay, so started Instagram, it kind of blew up, and you're still working at Hooters and everything like that.
Yes.
When did you, realize that Instagram was kind of, I don't want to say a career path, but like a good platform to kind of build a career and, like you said, make connections and like.
It was shortly after that. There was a company that I connected with pretty quickly. I'm not going to even bring up the name because they're not relevant anymore, and it wasn't necessarily a good season of my life working with them because it was a little bit toxic, but that got me to meet people like Alex Zedra, who ended up being a friend. And her and I both worked for that company for a little while, and that's over, but I still have her friendship from that, which is really cool. And then from there, it was like, okay, why would I need somebody else to speak for me when I can do this myself? And honestly, if anything good came out of that, other than a few friendships, it's that I saw a toxic thing that they were doing, and it pushed me to get an LLC, to trademark certain things and run with that. So good things come out of bad situations sometimes. And then shortly after that, I was like, I could really do something with this. So I still think there's a lot of potential that I've left on the table, but I'm really excited to see where it goes from here.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay. So when did YouTube follow and like creating an actual like Facebook branded page, like not personal? And when did you start going with RapidFireRachel? And then when did the pterodactyl come into play?
T-Rex.
I always say that wrong every time.
There's no wings.
I don't understand the difference of dinosaurs apparently.
Okay, so next time Kenzie comes down to visit, we're having a dinosaur lesson. We'll watch all the Jurassic Parks.
Okay, fun fact too. I'm terrified of those movies.
What?
I think they're so scary. So growing up, like I still blame my parents for seriously, they're so scary. I still can't watch some of them. And like that, Charlie and the Chocolate Factory and any of the Terminators a horror film.
Freaky,
yeah, that was a horror film. So I struggled with Jurassic Park, and I still tell my parents all the time, it's like, you guys showed that to me way too young.
When
I'm kidding.
Every single time I went to my grandpa's house, we would watch one of the 3 Jurassic Parks. Also, fun fact, the first one came out the year I was born, so I think that might be why I'm so attached to it. I don't
93?
know. 93. I'm a 93 baby.
We're close.
Oh, we're close.
Yeah. Okay, we've digressed. Okay, tell me about the T-Rex.
Okay,
and
so
the social pages.
Me and my dad both have very weird, like, creative brains. But I was like, after I won the Jungle Walk the first year, there was prize money that came along with it. So on the way home from Knob Creek, we were in Kentucky for that event. We drove past Dinosaur World, had to stop, obviously. They had a T-Rex mounted head that you could buy. There were 3 sizes, small to large. So I used my prize money to buy my trophy.
No way.
And then Rachel riding a T-Rex with a Thompson has just kind of been my image. And it could be anybody. It doesn't have to be Rachel.
Sure.
A female riding.
But it's your logo.
Yeah.
Who did it?
So I actually hand drew it.
Wow.
It looked a little different than this. And then I had a friend had helped me put it together. And then I actually finally got it redone recently. So I'm going to push a little bit more of that.
I like it.
Yeah. I think it's pretty cool.
Okay. So Facebook, YouTube. What other platforms? When did you kind of come on the scene with those too?
So Facebook, I jumped on there in 2015.
Okay.
And then shortly after that went to my first SHOT Show.
Okay.
And then YouTube, I think I started in 2016, but it's been kind of sporadic posting. I had one year that I solidly posted a video every single week, sometimes more. And that was really awesome. But the editing time is pretty insane.
Mm-hmm. For people that don't know, it's hours to do minutes of a video.
And I'm just not very great at it. So I was telling you, I used to stay up. I'd have a video posted every Thursday, but I would stay up every single Wednesday, pull an all-nighter trying to edit a video, and always have something go wrong. Just my luck, but
Murphy's Law. Yeah. For YouTube as well, okay, because I remember you did the video every week, and then you did Instagram Gun of the Day for, more than a year, but you did a year. Why did you decide to take on that endeavor? And then how did you find 365 guns to do that?
So it was very much a community project. People like to ask how many guns we have. I can
not tell you.
The world will never know.
Yeah.
How many licks?
I'm not going to let you tell them. Yeah.
No. We have a healthy amount of guns, but we could always have more. Mm-hmm. So that was a thing. But we also worked with a local pawn shop, and they got in some really crazy collections. So some of the cool things, especially the older ones that you might have seen on there. There were some pretty cool ones. Came from a pawn shop. Some of them came home with me. So it actually ended up being a kind of expensive endeavor to take on.
I'm sure. Yeah, because if you touch something, it's like kind of game over.
Well, I had never seen a Chicago palm pistol in person.
I don't think I have.
Well, I have 2 of them here, so I'll show you after the podcast. Yay! But I've never seen one in person, and they had 2. One of them was a Pearl Grips, and the other one is not Pearl Grips. So I had to buy both of them. They gave me a really good price on them, but how can you say no? I've literally never seen them in person before, and I had 2 of them in my palms, and now I still do. So.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
That project, like I said, kind of blew up. You got on the cusp before censorship too, kind of doing this. You're still been in it.
Yeah, especially back 2015, 2016, things used to grow by thousands overnight, and now it's quite the opposite. Sometimes, like, you can't do anything about bot accounts; they'll follow you anyway.
Yeah.
And then Instagram's constantly like deleting bot accounts, I guess, because you see your numbers go up and down, and you're like, I can't grow, but I'm not doing anything different, or I can't grow now because I got the notification yesterday that they can't share my pictures.
Been a year and a half.
Yeah.
And every time I get in there randomly now, they remind me, and I'm like, I know, I've seen this message. I could see. Yeah.
Well, it's like they update it to include more recent posts.
More posts.
Yeah. This is not the first time I've seen that message either.
I did play the game for a minute where I started deleting the other or appealing, and then they'll just replace it with another one. So gun people listening, just don't comply. Just don't delete it. They're going to delete your whole account at that point if you just keep going with it. I'm just done.
And those are just guidelines anyway. Yeah. Like if I look at the health of my profile, it's perfectly fine. I'm just not complying with the recommended stuff.
Yeah.
So there's like 2 layers of censorship they have on there, but it is what it is.
Yeah.
Facebook has actually been a lot better for me in the last year.
Yeah.
And it's that share button. People can like share and comment and interact with each other.
Yeah. Because I've seen, okay. So I also work behind the scenes with Rachel too on some accounts. It's funny because I've seen like the numbers where like you pull reports and stuff of how social media profiles do. And it's so weird how it used to be Instagram, or like I used to be able to track stories. Stories were awesome. They probably still are because we don't have that data. But like Facebook took off again. It's like, this is weird. So moral of the story, have all of the platforms, post on all of the platforms.
Repurpose content from platforms.
Yeah. So we did a lot of different work with like testing those out. I know there's algorithms to make your content stick and make it worthy, but you don't know what's going to take off. You
never do. And the videos that I spend the most time on
never do.
600 views on YouTube.
Then the dumbest ones that took you a second, you're like, why?
Yeah. I'm not good at any of those because I start down a rabbit hole. I'm like, this is what we're going to do. And then it turns into a production. And then I pull out the spared no expense. Got to go buy everything. Yeah. I'm not good at simple. I overthink everything.
You can't see it, guys, but I've commandeered her table.
Pay no attention to the gear behind the camera.
It's like memory cards and GoPros and microphones and disgusting amount of stuff. So, okay, let's dive into what we did this I say week, a day. It'll be 2 days of filming and stuff. So what did we do?
Well, Kenzie made me get out of bed before 6 a.m.
It was still dark.
Yeah, it was still dark. She wanted to meet her and Chris. I'm sorry. Do you really want me to talk about this?
Yeah, send it. No, I love this stuff.
So we met Chris from Ballistic Dummy at Waffle House at 7 a.m. We were 6 minutes late, and it was my fault, and I fully take on all of that.
And we gave her an extra hour. We were going to meet at 6. For people watching on the video.
6 a.m.
Yeah, a.m. What else?
To be fair, I feel like we should back this up and let everybody know I'm pregnant. And I have not been waking up very early in the last few months. So...
She was a trooper. I couldn't be pregnant and go to a range and be hot all day and gross and then, have to wake up. So, superhero.
Thank you.
Yeah,
Thank you. I'm taking all the pats on the back that I
100%,
have right 100%.
Now. So. I also hate mornings. So, anybody that knows me, probably thinks I'm the laziest person on planet Earth, which is not the case. I hate mornings, hate waking up early. I'll wake up when I want to wake up, but then I work evenings, nights, midnights, overnights.
I was going to say, anybody that's seen you work can't call you lazy because you hustle every minute you're awake. But
right. I'm a workhorse, so
you don't have to be a morning person. That's why there's different time zones. Just make friends on the West Coast.
I did that for a while.
We're good.
That's why I like Chris from Ballistic Dummy Lab. So for people listening, he moved his entire operation from California to a free state of Georgia, which is awesome.
We welcome you.
Love it. And but it sucks for me because working with him, I was like, oh, I'm up at 9. Cool, I don't feel like crap because it's still 6 a.m. California time. Now it's like, oh. He texted me this morning at 8 a.m. like checking in on content. And I'm like, 8 a.m. I still wasn't.
Yeah, we slept in today. But we also were at the range from 8 until 4 p.m. yesterday.
Without food.
So
without food.
I only had peanut butter crackers.
It was bad.
That's about it.
Bad. So we all got nauseous at one point. We all were overworked. Man. Okay, so what all did we film? And let's talk about the dummy experience because I hadn't shot a ballistic dummy ever. I'd never had that opportunity.
So I have shot one, but I've never shot one where it was just like
ours.
Where I could actually go touch it afterwards and like see what the damage was and how things worked. Whole science experiment. But it's pretty daggum cool if you don't know anything about Ballistic Dummy Labs.
Yep, Ballistic Dummy
Look them up. Very neat stuff. They make all sorts of different things from ballistic gel blocks to full torsos, or really full. I mean,
they do full body. They
full
do
body.
Torso with head, without head, zombie head.
Limbs.
Yeah, limbs. We haven't even cut up the limbs yet. That
Even
sounds
just
normal.
organ blocks. But
that
basically
bleed,
you can
bleed.
see, and the torso, all of it is interactive. So it has a structure inside that is supposed to mimic like your skeletal structure. And then the organs that do actively bleed or leak. We'll just say leak for the sake of
I chose
not
blue.
sounding.
I wanted blue. I love the color blue. We both have blue Tacomas.
My dad was very thankful for that too, because he is a little squeamish, and
it would have been gross.
He doesn't really like it to look too realistic. So
because some of those like organs, like you actually have the intestines in there and like liver, kidney, all that stuff. So you actually have this like I don't even know what he uses still, but it's like foamy and still
it's like spongy.
Absorbs. Yeah, spongy. Yeah, it's pretty cool.
Which it's very interesting. We slightly dissected some of them after we were done shooting to see if we could find any bullets that were lodged in there, and we found one
4570.
Yeah, we found one of the 4570s. But yeah, so we tested out a bunch of different things. I have I saw you move in, so I was
so excited. Yeah. The videos are better for people listening to this podcast.
There's always a song in my head too. Anyway, I have a AR-6 Stinger 2 Tactical from Steamboat, which is a repeating crossbow. You can quick, I don't even know.
Recharge, reload.
Why am I forgetting the terms right now? I'm also looking at a box of little arrows right in front of me too.
Okay, whatever that process is where you...
I would call it reloading on a gun.
Right.
I'm new to crossbow world.
Resetting the weight? Draw weight?
Reset, yeah.
Sure.
Redraw.
Okay.
Quick redraw is what we're going to call it. Anyway, so I got to test that out on a ballistic dummy. I didn't even have broadheads. So this was just like the practice arrows. And I was shocked. At what it did to a ballistic dummy. And then we obviously had guns, so that was pretty cool.
We had Commie Rachel versus the Rave Kenzie. We shot the AK versus the AR.
I feel like you should, when you edit that video, you should add a beat behind you.
I think so. Yeah. I should have worn my pit vipers for that, honestly.
Yeah, you probably should have.
There's a lot of things that I did wrong, but that's okay because
it wasn't in the spreadsheet.
Wasn't in the spreadsheet. There was 2 GoPros, a B-roll camera, an A-roll camera, microphone. It was a lot. So for people that don't know what goes into the content, guys, like it's so much work. It's overwhelming. I mean, and you've been on production crew, event crew, like you kind of know the process.
It's a lot. It's a lot to handle yourselves too. So
she's looking at me. It's like, this is my fault. I didn't know a camera crew was on the table. If I did, it would have been like, yeah, 100%. Yeah.
My dad showed up for part of the day, so he helped push some buttons for us.
Yes. And then he had his Bren.
Yeah, he brought out a Bren that we've got a barrel that will take 308 instead of 30-06. So he brought that out to test some magazines. He's been having just a little bit trouble with some of them feeding correctly or staying in the gun. So he tested one that had been adjusted, worked perfectly. The other one did not have the same adjustment on it. So we did confirm that they're going to have to all be adjusted if they're going to stay. And then he brought out, he just got a double fold AR And
so cool.
he's loving that. Loving that. So he wanted to make sure that was cited in.
Yeah, because he had the suppressor on it and like was just like, I'm gonna have some fun. Was that the gun that you guys used in your video?
No.
Okay.
No. So for those of you who don't know, Fold AR did a little competition, and they said you could use any platform of a takedown gun, but theirs is very fast. So we had started. My dad wanted to compete. He wanted to do a video posted on his Instagram. So I was out there helping him film, and he had a Leo takedown that he was trying to use. And it was backpack deployment. So gun had to be in the backpack on your back. You had less than 8 seconds to flip the backpack around, open the backpack, put the gun together, and fire a shot off. And he tried it with Leo takedown. His best time with that was like 21 seconds. Mm-hmm. And then the day before, people started winning the competition. The day before we were going to try with a Leo again, the Fold AR, he bought just a double fold, not a double fold, the one fold. Mm-hmm. I don't know what I'm trying to say.
Fold to the left.
Sorry, I'm still tired. No, you had coffee and I didn't.
Caffeine is a requirement for this to work.
Yeah. But your girl's been cut down on caffeine since this whole child situation.
Can you tell me more about how much I don't want that?
Hey, I'm excited for it, but there are things that I'm having to sacrifice because I have no self-control. If I drink a cup of coffee, the whole pot's going down.
Yeah.
So, anyway, got the Fold AR and cut the time down significantly. I decided I needed to try. So it was hot. It was July. I had 3 chances to attempt it. And in the last one, I got it in under 8 seconds. So I ended up winning an upper from them, which was pretty daggum cool. Yeah. I got a double fold. And I will be building that gun soon. So
I'm like so excited. I'm like, we don't have the gun yet still.
I have the upper. Okay. It's upstairs.
I want to see that. That's cool. The fun dynamic with you and your dad, like you guys go everywhere. So like in just this year, like y'all went to SHOT Show, you went to NRA?
Yeah.
And then you went to Gun Con. I mean, what is it like getting to have your family there?
So I love it. Like I go to some events without him, but ones that I know he wouldn't necessarily enjoy as much. But SHOT Show, we do that together. He's been going to SHOT Show since I was a child. Him and my mom, and they've got a couple of friends that go out with them. Then I started going and crashing their trip. NRA is so much fun to go to together. We knock out the whole floor, just us. And Gun Con, we road trip to Gun Con. So that's like a whole ordeal. We figure out ways to go past our favorite catfish restaurants. Aww. Boyette's, if anybody knows it, Boyette's by Reelfoot Lake. Shout out to them because it's very good catfish. Anyway, we just make like a whole event out of it.
Yeah.
And it's just a lot of fun. And I'm very, very blessed to have a very good relationship with both of my parents. Yeah. And I love spending time with them. My dad is probably my best friend outside of my husband. And I talk to him every single day. I saw he texted me just a minute ago. So.
Anonymous Bob.
Bob.
3, right?
Yeah.
Yep. Okay, so he kind of, I like it, the family tradition of this Instagram username.
Family numbers.
Yes. He is the sweetest man, though. He's awesome. So that's a really nice experience. And you already talked about it, but I did want you to talk about like the industry, like friends, relationships, kind of for people listening that do post content, or maybe they're going in my world of like competitive shooting or whatever. How do you build those relationships with companies or with other content creators? Like how? It might sound simple for us because we've done it, but
I don't know. Is it simple? Sometimes it baffles me, like how relationships got built. Mm-hmm. Like I think back at it and I'm like, man, I was just at the right time and the right like mindset to talk about this thing. Or mm-hmm. I think people can tell when you're genuinely excited about something, and it's very easy to build relationships with people when you're just happy. I
gotta say something about that real quick too. Remember, so we were walking around Blade Show.
Yeah.
Okay. And like not cheapest, but like a cheaper knife that I really fell in love with was blue and the color of my Tacoma blue. And then like they let me keep it. And they're like, oh, just take it. And I was like, Rachel, why'd they give it to me? And Rachel's just like, you were so excited over the color of that knife and that I love it. I still use it all the time.
Yeah. There are some things that I love that I talk to other people and they're like, this is the crappiest thing I've ever picked up. And I'm like, but I love it. Yep. And that's why the industry is as big as it is, because no matter how nice a gun is or how crappy somebody thinks a gun is, that is somebody's passion and love right there. So it's awesome.
Yeah.
I think it's all awesome. That's part of what I loved about doing Gun of the Day is in today's world, we're so hyper-focused on like a very small portion of the amount of guns that exist in this world or have existed throughout history. So if I could show something off that somebody's never heard of,
right, or
something that like somebody's dad bought at a Sears or grandfather bought at a Sears, like a Sears shotgun from forever ago.
Yep.
How cool is that? Like people have different relationships to different guns or they've never heard of it. So it gives them something to look up. And I think that is just fascinating.
That's awesome. Yeah. I know I took you off rail
no,
too
yeah,
on the relationships.
That's okay.
But I will say to that too is like, why do we continue to in our industry to like kind of crap on our own people too? It's like, oh, that's stupid. Or like just any bit of that. It's like, it's their gun. Does it matter? It doesn't affect you. Like it's their favorite or they love it. Like,
girl, I have a revolver with a bayonet on it and a EOTech optic. Like, if you want to talk about weird, crappy, or overkill,
yeah, non-practical.
I think I take the crown. Like, we got some weird stuff. So, I won't really crap on people, or at least I'll try not to.
Yeah. Sometimes
we say things that we don't necessarily mean, and I'm sure I'm guilty of that in the past. But
sure.
I don't know why we do that. I think there's a lot of, I think that's in every single industry.
Yeah.
I know it's in every single industry, but I wish it wasn't. But that's, I think, just human nature.
Yeah.
To eat their own kind of thing.
Yeah. It's really frustrating to see that though.
It is very frustrating to see that. And our community is, while every community does it, our community is a little bit different because we do have forces working against us from every direction and primarily from our government. So it's very uncomfortable to see it from the internals of us hurting each other. And I really wish we didn't see that as much as we do.
Yeah. So I was on Instagram the other day or Facebook, and somebody had posted that was a steel challenge shooter, right? And they're the same 8 stages, but that I could never do what some of those shooters do. They have world records. They continue to decrease these times. I'm like, dude, I couldn't even do that if I wanted to, right? But it was interesting because he posted about how much hate that they get from shooting steel challenge and how it never changes, and like how the stages are the same. You can practice them at home, and yet there's still improvements. Why are people who don't even shoot the sport worried about them shooting it and doing better and it not being different? Like, and it's a great entry for kids, for women, for people, elderly people. I've seen every age, every background. Like, so I'm passionate about this because I saw that, and there are so many people commenting about it, and it was like hate, and it was love, and it was agreeance. And I'm like, hey guys, like, it's great. We're just shooting guns. How about that? So I don't know if you want to speak to anything like that, where it's just, you see that and you're just, why can't we all just be positive? Because we have too many forces outside of that, like you said, working against us.
Well, and I don't know, people go into a competition. Everybody has a different mindset about what they're there to accomplish. Yeah. So like I've been at a USPSA match before and gotten on a, I don't know what you call it, a squad, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Sorry, I was thinking posse and cowboy.
Posse, cowboy, yep.
Yeah, I was like posse, but that's
same
not right. Squad.
Yeah,
squad up. Okay, so I've been on a squad before where they are very competitive and they want to get in and get out before lunchtime. And that might not necessarily be my squad to be on. I might want to be on a squad where people are kind of plinking a little more, or like having taken their full amount of time to get through a stage. Or doing it with a weird gun and trying to make it fun. Like sometimes my dad and I will go out to a match with some weird guns. I have a dream of going to a 3-gun match. I won't tell you what I'm going to use yet, so I can do that. But I got some ideas. I got some weird ideas.
It's going to be a pump action shotgun. I just know it.
Well, or it's a SPAS.
We talked about it.
Yeah, I would like to use my SPAS 12. I also have a Jurassic themed rifle.
Oh, hell yeah.
And I got to pick which handgun I'm going to use.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, keep going.
Yeah. Sorry. I think it really just depends on like I said, the mindset of how you're going in there. And so I can see for somebody that is very competitive, kind of getting frustrated if things are slowing down. But I've also been on groups where it's a very experienced shooter and they have stopped and like helped me through things. Yes. Or I've had a one time early on shooting cowboy. My dad, I can't remember what shotgun we were shooting, but there was another lady there that was like, hey, here, try this one. You might really like this. And so I've been on squads where people really help you. And I've been on squads where people are like, we need to get out of here. This is taking too long.
Yeah.
And that kind of experience, if you are with somebody that's kind of frustrated, it can translate back to you towards like, maybe this wasn't really fun and I might not want to do it again. So I think maybe just a good message out there is get to know the people in your squad and find out what their experience is and how they got into this, how they heard about it, and what they're trying to accomplish. And if you want to get out of there, get out of there as fast as you can, but make sure that they know they're welcome.
100%. I mean, and again, like not dissing what they're into. Like, you want to show up to what you want to show up with your guns. Like, hey, you don't know if they're there just to have fun, right? And I see that across every sport. It has all of the drama and the you can like kind of have that crap talk, to make it fun. But there is like a level where I find it just like so disrespectful where it's like, hey, like they're shooting. Like, how about like be excited for that?
And when I say it's every industry, I played soccer for 16 years and I was on a rec team 1 year that was so competitive that we would run every practice until we were physically sick. And
that's healthy.
The next year was back on a team because I'd aged out of this other team. Was back on a team that all we did was have fun. I mean, we practiced, like we worked hard, but we really got to know each other. We were very good as a team and we always did very well as a team, but I didn't get physically sick every practice. And so it was more enjoyable. Yeah, so when I say that, like, you can have bad experiences and teammates can eat each other kind of thing and really put each other down. It's every industry, unfortunately, but that might have been a little bit irrelevant, but I'm just thinking back to like other experiences and how that 1 year was so miserable, but going back, it was so much fun just because of the way we treated each other.
No, I think that's important. The other stuff with you that I want to ask you about is like, you get to meet fans, which is probably weird and not weird all at the same time, all across the country. And how important it too, like I want you to talk about the fan experience and stuff, but how important is it for you to always kind of be the best you can be, right? If you're tired, exhausted, hungry, and someone comes up to you as a fan, like that first impression could be them unfollowing you if it's bad, right? It could be, oh, she was a horrible person, right? No, but it's like, I've had to remember too, like what it would be like for me to meet somebody that I like looked up to or pay attention to. It's like, I want them to be the person I want them to be. So how important is that? How do you do that?
So it always shocks me when somebody does talk to me. It's very cool, very humbling, and, very nice to know that somebody is hearing you. Yeah. There has been a couple of times Brownells actually had me in their booth at NRA, not this past year, but the year before. And I met so many families, so many little girls that came up and wanted me to sign a piece of paper for them. I literally cried afterwards. There was a girl, her mom was like, she really wants to meet you. And I was like, I really want to meet you. Yeah. Like, it's very cool to think about. Yes. 'Cause I know I had role models growing up, and I've gotten to meet them today, which is pretty cool. Yeah. But in the shooting industry, and I think that's really neat. And, I try to be the best I can. Normally, I'm very excited to meet you back. And I've also gotten a lot of messages from folks afterwards saying, I saw you, but I didn't want to interrupt. Always interrupt me, please. Please, yeah. I would love to meet you. Yeah. I would love to know how you follow me or why you follow me. And I've also had people ask me like about my animals or ask what. Normally, if somebody meets me, they're asking either A, where my dad is, or they recognize me because my dad's walking around with me. Because he's a big burly man that looks like tactical Santa Claus. 100%. 100%. That's awesome. It's always a very cool experience. So
yeah. What's been your favorite kind of interactions? I know you mentioned the girls coming up at NRA and stuff. And also, what's your weirdest interaction?
Oh, Lord.
I know there's been a few, so.
Coolest interaction.
I'll say this too. We walked around again Blade Show, and I'd never been to Blade Show. You had, I assumed, been to Blade Show before?
Yes. Yeah. It's in the Atlanta one.
Yeah. It's like in your backyard.
Yes, ma'am.
But it was funny because Rachel would get recognized, and then I didn't think anybody would recognize me, and then I would get recognized. I'm like, okay, like one for one.
How cool.
Back. It was really cool. And I'm like, in a Blade Show? I felt like a fish out of water because I love knives. I have way too many knives, so I hurt myself with them all the time. But it was like, I'm out of my element. I mean, they're my people, but they're not people, right? Like, yeah. The gun world different. So that was really cool. And I was like, holy crap, they know me. Yeah. You get that all the time. So on a smaller level, if someone's like coming up in it like me, I'm like, I'm excited.
Okay. So the question was
weirdest and some of your favorite.
Okay. So one of my favorites, and this was one of the first, I used to always wear a green like patrol cap.
Like your dad had on.
Yes.
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay. Yep.
Yeah. My dad and I had matching. My dad and I match a lot. I don't know. We're just goofy. Like,
do you plan that?
I do. Yes,
you
absolutely.
Okay. Text Bob in the morning. Hey, Dad. What are we
No,
wearing?
so sometimes we don't plan it and we end up matching anyway. But
I
like
figured.
hats, sometimes we'll match those on purpose. Or like I got a tactical tricorn hat, so I got them in different colors, so we can both wear them.
There you go.
Either that or like I also got this camo shirt at Academy, and they had his size, so I was like, oh, he's gonna want this too. Let me just go ahead and buy
actually did do that at Buc-ee's. I showed you the shirt.
Yeah.
I have that shirt. My dad now is gonna have that shirt.
Spoiler. I love it. I'm not afraid to match my parents. Like, judge me if you want to, whatever. Yeah. I'm just a grown child.
As it should be.
Anyway, so there was one time at Knob Creek, there was somebody that had been following me, and he was telling me about his daughter and that they really wanted to meet me. So I brought her, we figured it all out. They were going to come down and watch me shoot. So I shot, and then I had a picture for her. And then I also got her a little green patrol cap. So I think I still have that picture on Instagram. It's from like years ago, but that was like one of the coolest moments for me. Plus she got a hat, which I just thought was so cool. And then weirdest, and please, nobody ever do this to anybody in the industry. I was flying to a shooting event. I think it was in Arizona. And so I'm at the airport in Atlanta, walking through TSA, and I hear somebody say, hey, it's that gun girl, and like yells it in the line at TSA.
Awkward.
Can I tell you how many times they had to pat me and search for things?
Are you serious?
Yeah, I did get,
no.
I have a very, mostly dislike of TSA.
Mm-hmm.
I get gotten for anything that you can get gotten for, and typically I don't have anything that's like actually snacks.
Payday. We'll talk about that.
They have snack shamed me. They have done all sorts of things. I had on like that open back tank top that I had on yesterday.
Yeah.
And something came up as a thing, so they had to pat my bare back down at TSA.
That's weird.
Just weird. The most ridiculous thing. So anyway.
Please
don't yell that.
Girl.
Please don't yell that to anybody.
Do it after security. No, I'm just kidding. Also,
come by and say hello quietly. That's
awesome.
Anyway, that was one of the probably worst experiences. But there's some other weird ones too. But that's the one that I want to publicly announce. Mm-hmm. Don't do that.
That's fair.
Yeah.
Okay, so what? We'll dive deep into this if you want to, but I want to talk about concealed carrying a gun every day. Kind of what it's like, honestly, being a female too, and like learning to protect yourself because you're on your own a lot too. Like you're not always with your husband, your dad, whatever that looks like. Can you dive into that world of how important it is for women to consider carrying a gun, to train with their gun, dry fire, live fire? Like, what does that look like?
I think it's the most important thing for anybody, male or female, to do.
Yeah.
And no matter where you're starting, it's the most important thing. Who is going to protect you? You can't leave it up to somebody else. I hear a lot of women say, well, my husband always has something. Well, what if you're not with your husband?
Go to the bathroom.
What if your husband is hurt?
Yeah.
What are you going to do? Yep. So I think it is the most important thing that we learn. And there's a lot more I could do in this category, and probably a lot more I'm going to be focusing on in the future. Mm-hmm. But anything that I can do to encourage somebody to take an active role in their own personal protection is my goal. Because it's the most important thing.
Yeah. So how did you start learning to carry a gun every day? Like, did you try different holsters, try different guns, different positions to carry? Like, what did that look like?
So I have tried not every single holster.
There's a lot,
but yeah, there are a lot. And that's actually a beautiful thing too.
Yeah.
There are more and more and more women specific holsters, to carry that have been popping up in the past 5 years, the past 10 years. I've seen it grow tremendously, and it's very cool to see, even down to like this last launch with SIG and the Rose and the project that they're working on with Lena. Love or hate the SIG 365, it is a very cool thing they're doing, and why every concealed carry gun doesn't come with the same tools that package comes with.
Right.
I don't know, because you should have dummy rounds to practice at home. And if you're new to this and you don't know that, they might not try to do that, but ranges can actually build those themselves, have guns and have a package for like a certain price built together so that you can have all those necessary tools.
Yeah.
But I do think that is something very cool that SIG has done.
Yeah.
Outside of that, I started carrying a gun as soon as I could. Mm-hmm. For my 21st birthday, I went and got my concealed carry.
At the class, like the day after I turned 21, it was ridiculous. Well, not ridiculous, but it was like, I'm doing this. I brought a friend. Yeah. And then immediately applied for the permit and waited. Florida that you had to wait until you had the permit. I don't know how Georgia was.
I mean, I'm trying to remember.
I do. It's
been a minute.
While for us, little 90s.
You do have to wait for the permit to
Yeah.
get here in the mail. But for concealed carry, but you can still have a gun on your personal property.
Yeah.
Or car is an extension.
Yeah.
So, anyway, sorry, I got off topic. But
different options. I was going to say like belts, appendix, outside the waistband, inside the waistband. Like, did you try different things to kind of figure that out? Off body carry. I know you deploying an AR folding, now.
Backpack.
So great. Can you speak to like what it's like for someone starting out to figure out what works for them, how to try the different things, and then just get comfortable, honestly, with it on them?
So the biggest deal is getting comfortable with it on you. Yeah. And that takes time and takes a gun that you're confident shooting, which I don't know that people always find with their first gun.
Yeah.
I know I still have the very first gun I ever bought. It is an LCP, not the newer iteration. So the old, very, very filed down sights that are not very good, but you know what? That gun I will never get rid of because I can hide that sucker anywhere I need to.
Sure.
And from me to the wall right there, we're good to go.
Yeah.
I'll never get rid of that. I don't love the gun, but I love the gun. It will do what it needs to do. I think that's the other thing. So I'm probably a bad person to ask as far as like, what do you carry or how do you carry? I am somebody that refuses to change their style to carry a gun. So I will carry a gun that will fit with what I'm wearing, and I will carry a gun in a place that I can carry a gun so that you don't know I'm carrying the gun. I think the biggest thing about concealed carry is that you have the element of surprise. People will put a lot of emphasis on quick draw, and while I think you should have a quick draw, having the element of surprise is going to be first, and being able to get a quick, smooth draw, I think, is second.
Yeah.
And this is my personal opinion. You can talk to other people and get theirs, and that's fine for yourself. But if somebody is pointing a gun at you, you're never going to be able to outdraw a trigger pull. That's just fact.
Yeah.
And so I like the element of surprise. I like not being the person that somebody would target as she definitely has a gun.
Kind of like Waffle House yesterday. This gentleman thought a concealed firearm would be an outside the waistband sort of drop holster on his belt. I full size, like crap block. I look like probably a 40, maybe 17. I don't know. But anyway, so he sits, like he walks in and then he turns his whole body to sit down. And then he's like trying to pull his untucked polo shirt over this. And already I'm talking to Chris at Ballistic Dummy. And I'm like, oh, he's armed. This is what it looks like. It's not my favorite holster. And I just like literally could identify this man already. And I'm like, and the thing with that too is like, you don't, just because you see someone like with a gun or like see a print or whatever, that do not assume that that person even knows how to fire that firearm, draw that firearm, practices it. Like I would not trust him to save my life at all, right? Because it's not a comfort thing for me. It's like, I don't think most Americans are training properly.
I would think it's safe to say that a large amount aren't.
Yeah.
No. Just like I know from, well, we don't even have to get into that, but I have a lot of friends that are PD, including two family members, my brother and his wife. And I know from my brother's experience and what he tells me and what he sees, because he does work on the range and he does the training and stuff with police. There are a lot of them that don't do anything out of qualifications, and we should all be doing better. We should all be doing better. If you carry a gun, you should want training. You should be actively trying to get better. And I'm even speaking to myself on that because I could be a lot better with pistols. A lot better.
No, I mean, it's hard to master, but you're still putting in a lot more work that, like, if I saw you with the gun and I know you, I'm like, oh, well, she at least knows how to draw, knows how to fire, knows how to keep her finger off the trigger unless it's ready to shoot. Like, there are so many things that I fear. Yeah, well, that's important. Fundamentals, right? So that's the stuff that I want to harp on, is just like, just training. And I know people that haven't even fired their gun too, I'll say this, with hollow points, or haven't even fired their carry gun, period, or don't know how to disassemble it or oil it or clean it. Guys, you've got to know this tool inside and out. It's the best investment that you're ever going to have into yourself. So I don't know if you want to speak to that stuff too, is like the maintenance side of this stuff as well.
So on the maintenance side of it.
Please don't be like, I never clean my guns.
No, I'm guilty on some guns.
Me
I
too.
could clean them quite. I mean, yeah,
Me
we talked
too.
about this
Like,
yesterday.
I should oil and clean that.
Yeah.
That's a lot.
No, there's definitely sometimes that I maybe go a little bit too long on cleaning some things, but that's more like match guns. Your concealed carry gun, I think, is completely different, and that is the life-saving tool that you're going to have on you. So definitely should be spending a lot of quality time with that. The beautiful thing about being pregnant right now is I don't pick up brass. I don't clean my own guns.
Okay, that's not fair.
So
that's not fair.
There's not a. I'm just gonna speak on that really quickly because there's really not a lot of information about like what you can do in the shooting industry while you are pregnant.
Yeah,
but one of the things, one of the biggest things is worrying about like lead. So I'm not picking up empty brass and I'm not cleaning my guns. My dad and my husband are stepping in for that, and I am not mad about it.
Just stay pregnant for the next 10 years.
How many kids did you want to have?
You know what? 7? Got it.
Got it. On it.
No, and in okay, yesterday too, like I have gloves. Okay. All right, we're gonna dive in. You wanna dive into lead a little bit? I know it's silly, but it's not. Because have you had your lead levels tested?
No.
Okay. So when you do, I want a text message.
That's gonna bother me.
I want a text message of your lead levels. I want it to be low for you, right?
Thank you.
I do know how scary easy it is to ingest lead and get that in your body because I've had that. So I ended up with like lead poisoning. It was in double digits for a long time. And my doctor was even like, why are you wanting to get your blood drawn and have lead? I'm like, I live and breathe shooting, right? And it's everywhere. So if you're reloading or you have a reloading press, you don't realize how much is in powders. And especially if you're cleaning brass, that needs to be done like outside. But there's a lot that gets tracked into the home. So I harped on this with Rachel. I'm so sorry. In my truck, I keep a closed lid like Tupperware. I call it Tupperware, even though it's not Tupperware, but giant for my shoes. So my range shoes don't go into my house. When I get home, I typically take off my range clothes if I've been in the range, and I immediately get those into the washer. And I have lead detergent. I have lead soap. I have the Hoppies lead wipes in my truck. And people that have been around me, they know because I hand out wipes. Like it's like mommy's taking care of everyone.
She didn't hand me any wipes.
I had them though, but I handed her gloves. So that's the other thing. So Rachel made sure like when she was moving the steel around that she had the gloves that I keep in my truck as well for that. I even had a new pair, which was great. But it's really important if you're painting steel, picking up lead or steel targets or anything that's been shot up, those are covered in lead. And in the back of the berm too, where all of course, the rounds go, lead everywhere. So
I'm very familiar with that at cowboy shoes because I like to look for splats. They're cool. So neat.
They're cool.
They're so neat. But yeah, we haven't been picking those up lately either.
Yeah. So the remedies for lead poisoning serious. Like you either have to do chemical stuff treatment, kind of a natural progress, but there are some real symptoms. So what did we learn? Maybe being pregnant maybe help that too. Maybe.
Well, I'm definitely a little more cautious. Excuse me, talking is hard.
She's both, yeah.
I am conscious. Anyway, I'm here.
Caffeine after this. We'll get caffeine.
I need the caffeine.
Yep.
Anyway, definitely a little more cautious. I am not shooting in any indoor ranges until after I have the baby. Yep. I probably won't be doing a lot of moving of the steel in general, but this was like special circumstances.
This is a one-off thing that we had to
usually
done.
Keep them set up anyway, so there's not a lot of moving, but we needed them at the range. So, I mean, there's just a few more things to think about, and then at some point, I'll probably be thinking about like noise levels and what that might do, because at some point there is hearing. Yeah. And hearing.
Yeah, so it's perfectly normal. We talked about this offline, Rachel and I did, but a lot of our friends are pregnant. A lot of ours have been pregnant and still shot because it is perfectly safe. You work with a doctor that tells you what you can't do, but once you hit that level of having the hearing develop, then you're like, okay, now I can't.
Yeah, and I will possibly
suppress.
Yeah, possibly go suppress for a few months. Just to. It'll be hard to go like months without shooting, honestly. Like, I can't tell you a time other than when I was a child that I've gone months without shooting. So that would be a little weird. But either way, like, even when I get very pregnant, guns are still part of my life. And I'm excited to see like where we can fit in that. Also, I guess last big thing on that, we're turning this into a pregnancy podcast.
Go for it. Yeah.
There is very little information out there, period, about concealed carrying a gun while you're pregnant. And I will tell you one thing right now, I will not stop carrying my gun while I'm pregnant because I'm vulnerable in a different way.
Yep.
Your girl can't move quite as fast as I used.
I won't say anything.
I've never been a very fast runner, but
I feel so bad. She's like, few steps. I'm like, dude, I couldn't do pregnant in Georgia in July, August, September. Yeah, no.
But yeah, it's just a different thing, and I think I am looking forward to sharing a little bit more of that. I'm wondering what the backlash will be, because I'm sure it will be a little bit of like
for people. Yeah,
I'm sure it will be a little bit of a controversial topic. But no matter if you're pregnant or not pregnant, when you carry a gun, you are at risk, but you're also should be in control of it. And so I can't ever consider not carrying a gun while I'm pregnant. But
yeah.
Anyway.
Yeah. No, I love it. Well, I know we talked about a lot of things. Got a few minutes left here. If you wanted to talk about anything that we didn't cover, content creation, filming, being a girl in this world of men is so fun. This industry is different in that regards too. I don't know. Anything else?
Girl, all you. If you got any more questions. Monty's trying to talk.
I think biggest advice, real quick, I would say I'll leave this. Yeah, poor Monty, her cutest dog. Biggest advice you have, I think, for someone just not even knowing where to start in getting into guns, training, carrying. That's the last thing I'll ask you. Biggest advice of where to start. Yeah, or how to start.
You know, if nothing else, like reach out to one of us. I don't check my DMs as much as I should, but I will try. Email would be the best way. But, ask a question. Maybe there's a way we can connect you with like a local range or something. Yeah. And just start asking questions. You know, like most people in this industry are pretty nice. The dog.
If you're watching video, please hit the podcast.
Most people in this industry are pretty nice and want to help. And that's really cool. So try to get connected. I know we would never be in as many different sides of the industry as we are if my dad didn't ask questions, or if I didn't ask questions. He would have never started shooting USPSA. He would have never advanced to the sound of machine gun fire and bought his first full auto. So make friends. Yeah. Sometimes it's hard because I think a lot of us are introverts, myself included.
Yeah, believe it or not.
Yeah, it's a switch. You got
not me. I adopt you people.
She's like, oh, she's kind of quiet.
Let's attack. No, but I mean, I did the same thing. It's kind of reaching out and getting connected. And hey, you could be like, nope, I don't want to be your friend, or I don't want to hang out, or I don't want to answer. And that's fine. But there are more people willing to help and try to connect you than there are not. Yeah, absolutely. And it's really cool. I mean, it gives you like the quality time with people that we don't get as much now that social media and screens are a thing. So any chance that you can get to make some friends and go out to the range in person and spend some quality time with them, do it. I encourage it. Yeah. And attend the shows. We talked about this a little bit offline too. And online is NRA shows for the public. The Gathering does a great job too. Like having, DunCon, TriggerCon. There's so many ticketed events and opportunities for you guys listening that maybe don't work or are in the industry to go out and shoot guns, meet people, and you meet CEOs, like marketing directors. You meet the engineers behind the products. Like you wouldn't believe the people that are at these places that you would get to ask questions of. Absolutely. That's what I find so exciting. Like when I actually meet the engineers of these, I got goosebumps there for a second because I was like, what? Like you're the guy behind this? How cool. So yeah, no, that's been my entire experience too. I'm like, wait, you're the one that's like out at the booth? Like how cool is that? Right? So get out there. Rachel, where can people find you on all of the platforms? I know we mentioned a few times, but I want to make sure we got it. Okay, so on Instagram, it's RachelB333. On everything else, RapidFireRachel. Love it. Thank you for having me at your house and letting me burn things. And I can't wait to see these guns. I gave Kenzie a flamethrower, and we're still here today. So we're live. She's kind of accident prone. We haven't touched the knives yet. That's today. Oh, well, I got a first aid kit. I do too. Several. And the hospital's not far. That's not far. We had a fire truck here today, but not for us. No, they were just checking. Fire hydrants. Yeah. Love it. Well, listeners, thank you. Thank you, Rachel. Again, it was fun. Be sure to stay tuned, too, for videos coming from her awesome Steambow, from Ballistic Dummy Lab, AK versus AR, and more. So thanks for listening, and tune in next week for an all-new episode of the Reticle Up Podcast.
Thanks for listening to the Reticle Up Podcast. Be sure to subscribe wherever you get your podcasts and on YouTube. Follow along on social media at Reticle Up or 3Gun Kenzie.